Hi, Aquarius Sun and Rising. Welcome to your August 2024 Astral Update. It's Raina here. Typically, I wouldn't do your reading as one of my first ones because of your birthday not being anywhere near August. However, you could be listening for Aquarius Rising, and you might have the Sun in Virgo or Leo. But actually, there's going to be a full moon in Aquarius. So I thought, why not? So this is the beginning of eclipse season, even though the eclipses are not occurring until mid-September and early October. The fact that there's an eclipse a month later means that it can affect people a month earlier. So this is going to be in Pisces, this eclipse in September, and that for Aquarius is your second house of earned income. So that could, and this is going to be the first one in Pisces. So lunar eclipse can be, it is a very powerful full moon. So it can really take something out of your life in a very dramatic way. At the very least, it can shift it. The way that I tend to see this in terms of your second house is that it can either provide an incredible breakthrough financially where you just kind of maybe in some cases even leapfrog into new earnings, or it can be something where it's like your finances are totally going to shift. Maybe you are retiring, and in some cases, because it is an eclipse, it may not be something that you are directing yourself. So an example would be that somebody has worked a certain profession for many, many years, and all of a sudden their particular company shuts down, but the industry itself is completely changing, and they decide to retire early or earlier than they were planning to because they can see the writing on the wall. Remember that Aquarius is a fixed sign, so you tend to, even though you're known for being unpredictable, you do tend to be a creature of habit in a lot of ways. Strangely enough, that is very much the contrarian aspect of Aquarius, is that there's a very strong fixed element that runs through you that can affect how you react to change. You may not like change very much in a lot of ways, and yet you're forced to contend with it. And I personally believe in these situations that the person will tend to be resistant to change, but even if it's something that feels unpleasant, when they reflect upon it later on, they're like, wow, you know what, that is something that had to happen, and I wasn't willing to step forward and actually initiate it on my own. So it had to be done from the outside, but it's still something that was meant to be. So Mars is going to remain in Gemini all month. If you're listening in July, I'm recording this in earlier July, and Mars still hasn't gone into Gemini. It will do so on the 20th of July, and through all the month of August will remain in Gemini. It hasn't been in Gemini since later part of March of 2023, when it had spent 7 months in the sign of Gemini. Gemini is a fellow air sign, and for you, this is the 5th house. The 5th house is the house of love and creativity. Mars is a rather, what will we, how can I delicately put this? Mars is a very impatient kind of an energy, a very urgent kind of energy. When Mars is in the 5th house, because the 5th house can be recreational sex. Don't get it twisted. It doesn't have to be love. So there may be some kind of, even like an affair, a torrid affair, that occurs that is still heating up that 5th house of yours throughout the month of August. This is the house of creativity. So if you have some kind of project, maybe it's a passion project. Mars is very passionate. That is going to be hot and heavy and really a big part of your month of March, in your month of August, where this is what you're really driven to do. On the 4th, Venus goes into Virgo, and there is a new moon at 12 degrees of Leo, so these adjacent signs, which is to be expected since it is Leo season in August. So let's talk about the new moon. That is in your opposite house, your 7th house of committed partnership. So there you go. Maybe this is more of a serious thing than I thought. This so-called torrid affair. Maybe Mars in the 5th house is simply that you are avidly dating someone, and you could have hit it off, and you're just like going to the races with this person because you really feel like you have an affinity with him or her. And the new moon in the 7th house could be saying, you're thinking very, strongly about like, wow, I think this person really does meet, tick off those boxes of who I want in a life partner. That could be possibly one thing. It can be like if you are someone who's going into business for yourself, 5th house can be the business that you own, that you get a new partner for your business. Venus in Virgo on that same day, that's the 8th house. Venus can be money. Also intimacy. Venus, if you are madly in love with somebody, Venus in the 8th house is a good thing to have because it takes it to the next level, whatever this love fest is that is happening. Also, this can be money from inheritances or other shared resources. Or if you're getting divorced, oh yes, that's another thing too. Definitely a new moon in the 7th house, even though it can be somebody getting married, it could be somebody getting divorced. So that you could be receiving proceeds from that. On the 5th, Mercury goes retrograde at 4 degrees of Virgo. So in that 8th house, you may have to contend with some kind of, snafu, but it will likely right itself fairly quickly. This is in the area of shared resources, so a will that, there, even if there, I don't know about probate issues, but some kind of document that you had to sign that has this shared resources theme to it might not have been done so appropriately, and that might delay the things, but it doesn't mean that it prevents them altogether. On the 14th, Mercury goes back into Leo. One thing to note about the 7th house is it's also the house of legal affairs. So with Mercury back there might be something that has to get, maybe it is something that gets contested or challenged. But again, um, it will resolve itself. On the 19th, there is a full moon. Oh, and one thing too about Mercury in the 8th house. The 8th house is Scorpio's domain, and it has to do with psychological processing and and shadow work and things like that. So when Mercury is there, the mind is particularly perceptive or you could say like suspicious as hell when it comes to other people's motivations. So there's great insight. So if somebody in their natural astrology has Mercury in Scorpio, or they have it in the 8th house, then they will tend to possess this already. But this kind of imbues anyone, during the transit to think about things at a more profound level, and also, really questioning, thinking about somebody else's motivations. It could be suspicious mind, but sometimes being suspicious is important and a great protection from, potential treachery from a fellow human being. So that is certainly not to say that there aren't times when that saves the day. So the reason I say this is because if you are thinking about committing to someone, you may be like really doing some inner reflection on what are your motivations, what are their motivations, to really get a better feel for if you're making the right decision. And so Mercury going back in that house of relationships, it's kind of like, is my relationship really marriage material? And even if you're not legally getting married, is it really life mate material? Or is it lust? Mars is in the 5th house. Am I really turned on to this person? But it's not necessarily that this is somebody that I want to grow old with. Or if you're already old, you want to grow older with, right? So anyway, on the 19th, that full moon is falling. Okay, so full moon is when the sun and moon are opposing one another. So the sun is at 19 Aquarius. The full moon is at 19 Aquarius. So your take on this is like the full moon is illuminating your sense of yourself, okay? And this is with the small s. It's not your ultimate cosmic self. It's you in this lifetime. What are your goals? What did you come here? How did you come here to shine your light? Is this other person really supportive of that? Are you really in alignment? And Aquarius is one of those signs which I think you have to really do a lot of thinking before you commit, because you're a very independent type of person. So relationships are not things that you take lightly, usually. And you may find that you need to honor yourself. Maybe this is a situation where another person isn't really for you the way you thought they were. And by the way, you're also going to have a Mars retrograde in the 7th house. So it's really something that is coming up for you in the next, I would say, 6 months with and I tell you the truth, I think Mars might actually spend even longer than that into next June in that 7th house. So this could be something very, time consuming or demanding your attention, like a legal matter. But the bottom line is you have to look at yourself and say, why am I doing what I'm doing? Am I doing it for the right reasons? So an example would be if you contest a will because you think that there's something fishy, or you just don't trust somebody else's motivations. You think that they're withholding something. You may be 100% correct, but you have to decide whether or not it's worth what it's going to cost you in terms of your energy or what have you. So that could be something that you're really mulling over. And like I said, it could be that you realize that you have to, if this is like a divorce situation, you may realize that you need this time to yourself, that you have not been devoting enough time to yourself, and this relationship has been kind of sucking at your life force. On the flip side, it could be that you see within yourself certain qualities that you want to let go of. Full moon can be letting go of something, and it's in your sign. And for Aquarius, there does tend to be this rather, I would call it like a rebellious energy, like where you want to do things your way. And that you want to be, you don't want to be like other people. If other people are getting married, then that is, so conformist to do that. If you live with people, they think marriage is passé, you might actually get married. I could totally see an Aquarius person being that contrarian and doing the opposite. On the 22nd, the sun goes into Virgo. So the sun is going into that 8th house. So that really just adds depth to your life and how you're regarding things. On the 28th, Mercury goes direct at 21 degrees of Leo in that 7th house of committed partnerships and legal matters. So there might be some resolution with those things, instead of kind of review, kind of moving forward. On the 29th, the next day, Venus goes into Libra, a fellow air sign. So that is your 9th house. If you have gotten divorced, there may be somebody from another country, another nationality, or, well, that would be country, but another ethnicity or another race that you find yourself attracted to. This can be finding pleasure through intellectual pursuits that are of a higher caliber. So anything that is academic. Maybe you are auditing classes at a local college. If you happen to be traveling, you may find romance in your travels, because 9th house is long distance travels. There could be money from publishing. 9th house can be publishing. Venus can be money. All right, Aquarius, that is what I have for you. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, I have package deals such as my deep dive, which is an hour of natal chart analysis, an hour of transits for a special price. If you like the tarot as well, that's called the whole enchilada. I have career readings, love readings. You can find out more information at the link below. Thanks for listening. Bye.